Sumy, for weeks now, under intensifying Russian attack, expectations of safety had long gone. But this strike on a sunny Palm Sunday morning was a further escalation still. The city centre, close to where people had been gathering for church services, ripped apart by 2 Russian ballistic missiles. Bodies strewn on the ground. A young girl in her mother's arms, just one of the dozens wounded.
I was in my apartment on the 4th floor. I was in a hallway and I was knocked down by the blast wave.
It's horror out there. We live in the city centre. There is no military base. There are no soldiers here. It is simply a genocide.
Ukraine's military intelligence agency said the first Iskander missile struck a conference centre at Sumy State University, where a children's event had been scheduled for less than an hour later. The local military administration said a second missile exploded 200 metres away in the air, unleashing shrapnel over a wide area. A trolleybus among the vehicles shredded in the blast. Rescue workers freeing bodies from twisted, burned wreckage. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy posted on X, "Russia wants exactly this kind of terror and is dragging this war out. Without pressure on Russia, peace is impossible. Talks have never stopped ballistic missiles and aerial bombs. What's needed is an attitude towards Russia that a terrorist deserves." Might he have been thinking of this? Hand on heart from the US envoy Steve Witkoff for Vladimir Putin in Moscow on Friday, ahead of 4 hours of talks. President Trump used to talk of ending this conflict in a day. Nowadays, more than a hint of frustration intruding on the public confidence.
Ukraine, Russia might be going, okay, and you're going to be finding out pretty soon. You know, there's a point at which you just have to either put up or shut up and we'll see what happens. But I think it's going fine.
From the Kremlin, though, the focus not on Ukraine, but on general relations with Washington.
Everything is moving ahead very well. The fact is that reanimating relations from scratch is a very difficult task, requiring very intense diplomatic and other efforts.
From European leaders today, renewed condemnation of Russia. Emmanuel Macron saying the attack demonstrated Moscow's scorn for human life and for the diplomatic efforts of Donald Trump. As Russia continues to resist the ceasefire Trump seeks, the consequences continue in Ukrainian cities.
Harry Fawcett. Well, a short time ago, I caught up with the Ukrainian MP, Dmytro Nataluka, who was heading to Brussels airport in a taxi. I asked him what he thought of today's violence and what it says about Putin's desire for peace.
This is kind of pure distilled terrorism, you know, together with sadism. He wants to put as much suffering as possible for the people to give up, to basically go and say to the leadership of Ukraine, listen, we cannot do any more of this. We cannot bear any more of this. Let's end it up there. It's too much. It's literally too much.
So you see this as terrorism, not some kind of organized spring offensive in the northeast around Sumy or anything like that?
But how would hitting a trolley bus in the middle of a Sumy city center help you with your offensive? It's not the people in the trolley bus that are holding the lines in the trenches. Those were just regular people, you know. They were just people going to the church on the Palm Sunday, trying to pray for their close ones to stay alive, and they were hit. So I think that's just terrorism 101 as it is.
So what does Donald Trump make of this? He claims to have a good relationship with Vladimir Putin. He says Donald Trump, is interested in peace. Where's peace going after this?
Yeah, I'd love to be able to get into his head to understand what's going on there, but unfortunately, it's beyond my my possibility. I just have a feeling that, in a way, they're very biased by the one-side narrative that they're being told by Kremlin, by Moscow. We see Witkoff going to St. Petersburg, Witkoff going to Russia all the time. I mean, it would be nice to come to Kyiv at least once, just to hear the other side of the story and to see by himself what is going on. But this is not the case. They prefer to deal with just one side and then just spread the narratives that, yeah, Russia wants peace. We've seen that. We've seen that with Russia killing 9 children in Kryvyi Rih when they targeted a playground. Now we saw that in Sumy on Palm Sunday, targeting a civilian bus in the middle of the city center.
Emmanuel Macron says today this proves the obvious that Russia isn't interested in peace. I guess you'd agree with that, but you want more, much, much more from the EU than those kind of words, don't you, right now?
Yeah, by all means. Unfortunately, I am not sure how how would that help people to stay safe and stay alive and with the war effort. I mean, what we need is we need weapons, we need anything to push Russians back to protect ourselves.
Indeed, and when it comes to peacekeeping, without a peace to keep, we in the West, we keep talking, particularly the British, about this coalition of the willing and peacekeepers on the ground. It looks like far-fetched fantasy right now, does it not? Not least because Putin said he's not willing to accept that.
We've seen those plans by Witkoff to kind of split Ukraine into 3 zones, one zone being controlled by the so-called coalition of the willing, and then the other one controlled by the Ukrainian forces, and the other one presumably controlled by the Russian forces. So what I wanted to say is that the only countries that has presented its plans of Ukraine being partitioned in 3 was Russia. This happened in 2004 for the first time. They had a leak of those plans of Ukraine being partitioned in 3 parts. Then in 2024, our military intelligence has unveiled another plan, and now Witkoff presents another plan like this. So to me, it's all the same. Unfortunately, we're seeing the same Russian narrative, and there is not much the Northern Alliance is going to do about that.
Dmytro Nataliuka, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.